Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. I just caught my girlfriend doing it with my dad. Original post. So to start, I male 22, have been with my soon-to-be ex-girlfriend Kate female 21 for just shy of 3 years. Our relationship throughout the 3 years has been amazing. She had always been kind and supportive and very open and honest with me. We had dates often, our intimate life was great, we had very few arguments, but when we did get into a disagreement, we managed to communicate and come to an understanding before long. I believed our relationship to be healthy and loving, but apparently I was wrong. On to the story. About a week ago, I had started to notice that Kate was becoming very touchy about me being on or around her phone. This was odd to me, because not only had she always let me use her phone to make calls if mine was flat or I didn't have immediate access to mine, but she had also downloaded games for me to play on her phone so she could distract me when she wanted to watch her shows. Kate began snapping at me for asking to borrow her phone, or snatching it out of my hand if I was so much as moving it away from the edge of the counter so it wouldn't fall. And whenever I questioned her behavior, she brushed it off and explained she was just in a bad mood. Her constant dismissal of my noticeable confusion began to annoy me, so I asked her if she was hiding anything from me, which led to an argument about her saying I was accusing her of infidelity and not trusting her, and began trying to get physical with me. In which case I shut the argument down and told her to sleep in the guest bedroom. She was very angry about it, but I told her we would talk about it in the morning. When we did talk about it, she apologized for her behavior and gave me her phone. I told her I trusted her and I didn't need to go through it, and to be frank, I did trust her, and I believed her outburst to be due to the ongoing stress at work, which was clearly stupid of me. The next day I noticed she had gotten a mist from my father. I had never known my father to like Kate or even have her contacted that. In fact, I was convinced they both disliked each other. At any and every family event, they would often argue or make snarky remarks at one another until we would have to leave due to the tense atmosphere they had created. So I decided to ask Kate why my father had called her. She physically froze and mumbled an excuse about it being my birthday soon and that he had planned something. But my father and I were never very close, so I didn't understand why he would. But I played it off and decided to go about my day. Then the following night, I had texted her explaining that I had a late shift and I would be back around 10 p.m. the latest, which I did. We ended up being dismissed early due to an incident regarding our manager and a few staff, and so I was heading home by 7 p.m. I tried calling her but she had her phone off, so I assumed it had gone flat or she had turned it off, which she does often at home. When I made it home, I noticed my father's car 2 houses down from ours, and so I tried calling him but his phone was also turned off, which I found odd because my mother likes his phone to be on so she can call him when she needs him as she's handicapped. I assumed my mother was with him, so I opened the door quietly to surprise her as I haven't seen her in a while, and I was met with the sight of my girlfriend bent over the kitchen counter with my father behind her. They both froze and started profusely yelling and telling me it wasn't what it looked like and that they could explain. But I shut and locked the door from the outside with a deadbolt and made my way to a friend's house. Since then, they've both been blowing up my phone, apologizing and begging me not to say anything to anyone. And quite frankly, I'm just disgusted. Disgusted in my father, who is turning 60 next month and has my mother to take care of, and disgusted in Kate, who was getting railed by my father for who knows how long. I honestly just want to throw up and set them both on fire, but I'm most worried about how my mother will take this situation, as she's very dependent on my father and adores him. How should I go about this? I don't need closure or to confront them. I don't want to know how their gross relationship started or how long it's been going on for. I just need advice on how to approach the situation without causing a bigger mess than there already is. Any advice is welcome. Thank you for reading. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Wow, painful on every level. The word betrayal isn't strong enough. It's also a surreal feeling when all the odd behaviors before make sense now. This just happened too, and the fallout will unfortunately have a longer lifespan. As a gentle reminder, you don't have to figure out the situation with your mom right this minute or even tomorrow. This has got to be a huge emotional shock, and you get to take time to process what's happened and your initial emotional state before figuring out the next steps. And remember, it's not your fault. None of it happened because of you. You're important and you're loved. Take each day as it comes. Disown your father, never speak to him, and break up with her. Way ahead of you. Good for you for walking out. Even if he was my father, I would beat him to a pulp. To do that to your child. Wicked. He shouldn't feel only sorry. He should go to hell. Stay strong, man. Just by you not losing it shows you are 10 times better person than your father and that girl. Thanks, man, I appreciate it. Your father will have already said something to your mother, I assume. Like a lie prepared to get her not to believe you. Have your girlfriend pack her bags, she can stay anywhere else. If she's refusing to leave, stay with a mate for now. Your mom is harder, she's in a more vulnerable position. Ultimately, it's up to her whether she wants to stay or leave, but let her know that she can stay with you, or that you'll help her move her stuff out if she has another person's house she can stay at, as I assume you're in a one-bedroom apartment. I don't know her personality, but given her disability and the length of their marriage, she may feel more inclined to stay. Best not to pressure her to leave, just have you both support each other. Please let her know that she isn't less than, she doesn't deserve this, and that he had no right to do that to her, just like your girlfriend had no right to do this to you. You both deserve better than this. I'm sorry this happened. I'm worried your father will argue that he needed to be cared for, instead of doing the caring to guilt your disabled mother into finding his actions excusable. But there's no excuse for cheating, especially with your son's girlfriend. Now for the first update. Hey guys, I apologize for not updating you all sooner. A lot has happened since my last post, but a big thanks to those who messaged and commented with advice and kind words. As per someone's advice, I asked my mother to lunch, and after some small talk, informed her of the situation. She was understandably upset and in denial about the situation, as my father had spoken to her prior about me still holding a grudge, a story for another time, and that I would be likely to come up with a lie to turn her against him for revenge. But after showing her the messages they had sent afterward, she was distraught and visibly angry about the ordeal. I then asked her if she would be comfortable with me sending an email to our relevant family members and Kate's parents and siblings. And while she was a little reluctant about it, she had said she didn't want the backlash from his family for leaving him. I then did just that. I sent an email explaining the situation and that my mother and I would be going no contact with both Kate and my father and low contact with anyone who gave either of us any grief for our decision. Now she is staying with her older sister, while I'm with a close mate until we can figure out a stable living situation for us both. Now onto the actual update. After the email was sent, there was radio silence for a day or two, before both my mother and I were bombarded with a mix of messages that I'll just summarize in small paragraphs. Kate's parents were evidently enraged that I accused their daughter of such a thing, and that they would be suing me for defamation on their daughter's behalf. I then took the liberty of sending them the screenshots from both Kate's and my father's messages, and they left me on scene for a couple days, before replying to me and informing me that while they wouldn't sue me, they would appreciate if I kept the situation under wraps. My father was the first to message my mother, attempting to convince her that I staged the messages, and that I was being petty and lying. And when she wouldn't believe him, he accused her of cheating on him, and trying to find a way out of their marriage, which evidently isn't possible for my mother as she has trouble getting from place to place on her own. He then apologized and told her he was just frustrated, and asked to see her, and when she declined he again accused her of cheating and staying with her lover while abandoning him. My maternal grandparents and paternal grandparents had very different messages, and not in the way I thought they would. My paternal grandparents apologized for his behavior, and told my mother that if she needed support in the future they were available, and informed her they would be disowning and going no contact with my father. My maternal grandparents, however, despite being the people that raised her, told her that due to her injury and not being able to fulfill her husband's needs, it was only right of him to look elsewhere for fulfillment. And while they understood that it was wrong because it was my partner, Kate was available for him, and my mother should forgive him and move on. They also made a point to state that my mother needs my father more than he needs her. Kate's two older sisters reached out and thanked me for telling them, and informed us that if my mother and I, needed any assistance in the future in regards to my mother's health, as one is an elderly caretaker and the other is a physiotherapist, that they were willing to help. These aren't all the messages, but they're the relevant ones. I'll make a part 2 so this post doesn't get too long. First and foremost, I applaud you for handling this situation with admirable strength and unwavering resilience. Second, and pardon my language, your dad is a conniving, egotistic, idiotic, and selfish son of a witch who deserves to live his life in isolation and regret. Third, your maternal grandparents are apparently as idiotic as your dad, and ironically they have a commonality: none of them deserves you or your mom. Fourth, your ex is a vacuous nymphomaniac who, like your father, deserves to live her life in isolation and regret. Lastly, I wish that from this day forward, you'll have a great life and a loyal partner to spend it with someday, because you deserve it. I hope 2023 is kinder to you, sir. Now for the second update. My mother and I gave ourselves a few days to get through all the messages and phone calls, and blocked my maternal grandparents as well as my father, as my mother didn't already have him blocked. I contacted my landlord and real estate agent and informed them briefly of the situation and that I was no longer living on the premises and that I would like to have my name taken off the lease. Luckily, our lease was being renewed in that coming week, and the next day they contacted Kate to inform her that I had taken my name off the lease for the following month. And in the next week, if she was unable to take on my portion of rent, she would have 3 months to vacate the property. I don't know how she reacted, but I could tell it wasn't overly ecstatic as her parents contacted me and asked if, despite everything, I would be willing to pay for her rent just for this month because she doesn't have the money for it at the moment. Obviously, I declined and told them that I no longer have anything to do with her anymore. They then informed me she was pregnant with my child and needed assistance from the father of her baby, and this would be a last goodbye. I just laughed and told them I most definitely wasn't the father of that baby if she was pregnant, and if she needed assistance from her baby daddy to contact my father, then I hung up and blocked them. On a brighter note, my mother and I have just put a down payment on a house together and are looking into hiring a caregiver to help my mother for when I have work or trips out of state. My father has attempted to call both of us from multiple phone numbers and had numerous family members try to persuade my mother into meeting up with him to chat, and as a result, my mother and I have gotten a new phone numbers to avoid his mess. I also happened to hear from a mate that Kate is trying to hire a lawyer so she can get child support money from me, but apparently because she has no proof I'm the father and refuses to take a DNA test of the baby, she hasn't had any luck. Edit. I forgot to mention it above as I didn't see it as important when writing this, but Kate is apparently 5 weeks pregnant. We haven't been intimate for just under 2 months, so the baby is unlikely to be mine. If it is, I will pay child support, but I want proof before I pay her money for a baby that may or may not be mine. Just to clarify, Kate and I weren't having issues during the time we weren't intimate. I was too tired to initiate due to work commitments, and at the time I assumed she was as well, but it's likely her needs were met by either my father or other parties. Something else I forgot to mention, yes, I did get in test for STIs and UTIs, and any sort of infections I may not be aware of, and all tests came back negative, so I'm in the clear in that sense. You're absolutely correct to block and go no contact with the lot of them, anyone who is even 1% on your father's or Kate's side. There is zero excuse or reason to do that to your husband, nor your son. I feel like the maternal grandparents need a particular call out. I could never fathom saying what they said to anyone who had gone through being cheated on, let alone my own daughter. They 1000% should have had your mom's back, and they have absolutely failed as human beings. I hope it all comes good for you and your mom. You guys did nothing to deserve this. The only people that deserve this are people that do this. Agreed. It would be bad enough to hear that from the paternal grandparents, but her own mother and father. Only thing I can think is that they are familiar with having to deal with her handicap and related issues, and thus consider her lucky to have a man at all or some BS. Even if they were right and he needs to step out to get something he can't get at home due to wife's handicap, he could have tried to reach an arrangement with his wife first instead of cheating. I am in no way trying to excuse or justify or mitigate maternal grandparents' egregious response, just had to try and figure it out for me. It was so shocking to read. All that aside, even if he had an open marriage arrangement and stepping out was previously approved, he definitely didn't need to be with his own son's significant other. So reprehensibly vile. Have you told her parents that you can't be the father, and if there's proof, you're willing to pay? Because that should shut them up. Aside from that, I wish you and your mother the best. Rough situation, but I hope you're making it through. Once I've gotten my mother into a stable environment, I'll indulge them in their drama. But for now, I have to focus on getting my mother comfortable. I'll definitely inform them though, thank you. Your mother is lucky to have you. Sounds like you have each other backs through this horrible betrayal. Thank you for the support and kind words. Last story. My girlfriend is having a hard time since she found out her ex is getting married. Original post. I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 30 female, for about 8 months now, and things are going well for the most time. We normally meet once for dinner during the weekdays and then spend the weekend together. But the last time I saw my girlfriend was 2 weeks ago, and since then my girlfriend has not wanted to see me because she needs some space. The reason she needs the space is because she was hit really hard by the news of her ex getting married. She dated him for 9 years, from the age of 18 to 27. From what she has told me, they broke up because they were not on the same page about the future of the relationship. My girlfriend wanted to get married and he never wanted to get married. So eventually they broke up. It's almost been 4 years since they broke up. I never even suspected my girlfriend might still be having feelings for him, but after watching her strong reaction to his marriage, I can't be so sure of that. The guy is getting married to someone he has dated for less than a year. And yes, it's weird, but I don't think it really deserves that much of a reaction unless she is still in love with him. I am at a loss on how to proceed, guys. Any advice will be appreciated. Now for the top advice before the mini update at the end. It's the Harry and Sally moment, and yes, I'm dating myself here. She spent 10 years with her ex, and they parted ways because she wanted marriage and he didn't. So the breakup in her mind was mourned as we wanted different things. But when he gets married, she can no longer put that breakup in the "we wanted different things" bucket. But that he wasn't against marriage, he was against marrying her. It makes it more personal, so she now is dealing with a whole range of emotions. She doesn't want him back, doesn't still love him, but is hurt because she feels something is wrong with her. Now saying all of that, I'm not sure if I could jump back into a relationship with someone who stopped talking to me because they needed to mourn like this. It would irrationally make me feel like second place. And depending on how serious the relationship is, I might choose to part ways. She clearly has some stuff to work through. So you have to decide if you are good with waiting to see, or if you prefer to just cut your losses. We can't answer that for you. 8 months into dating my now husband, we were serious, so I would have waited to have a discussion, but other people, nope. I have decided to wait till the end of the month. If she is still taking space by then, I will know what I have to do. And I am sorry, but I haven't seen the movie. Sorry for digressing, but I highly recommend it. When Harry Met Sally might be 33 years old now, and I haven't seen it in at least a decade, but I remember thinking they really nailed the dynamic of a friends-turned-lovers relationship. And the dialogue still felt fresh in a timeless sort of way last time I saw it. I have absolutely no feelings for my ex anymore, but when he got married, a part of me felt funny. I'm not sure how to describe it. I wasn't jealous, but I was immediately hit with a wave of memories. It was an odd reaction for me, especially given that I broke up with him and was even the first of either of us to get married. I didn't, however, push my husband away, and I didn't need space. So you didn't ghost your husband for weeks. That's weird, because according to everyone here, it's completely normal and acceptable to do that. Now for the little update. I have decided to break up with her, but I will wait 2 more weeks before telling her. Hopefully she will be in a better headspace by then.